Hi, and welcome to this episode of the mini seminar here at Labtime at Rumkraft. We will continue our little free plugin session. Hi, just come in. That's fine. Where we're going to take a look at something called VCV Rack. And again, this is a series of free VSTs or free machines, because the one I'm going to show you is inside of Ableton, but that's the paid version. You can then have it as a VST. So if we're not having the VST, we can open VCV Rack here, and yours is not going to be Pro. You have to pay for to be a Pro user. Therefore, you can use it inside of Ableton. But I'm going to show you inside of Ableton, but it is still free for everybody that wants to have a go at the first and early stage of how modular Eurorack works. So if we open it up, you can see right now it's totally empty. We have an empty rack here. And what we can do is at the homepage, you can install free modules, but it will come with VCV Rack's own modules. So if I right click, you can see the first that comes up is the one I use most frequently. But you can see there's a ton. And all of these except these ones are free. So there's enough that you can play around with. So to able to work with this, we need to set in, okay, we want our audio to come out. So therefore we will put in this module. There's an audio 8 and an audio 16. It depends on your sound card. Right now this is enough because it's just 8 ins and 8 outs from the sound card you're working with. I'll put it over here in the corner. The next thing, now we can get sound out of the rack or in the rack if we want to as well. So if we right click again, the first thing we want is an oscillator, VCO from voltage controlled oscillator, and we're just gonna take the white ones that comes with VCV Rack. So you can see in the bottom here, if we zoom in, VCV. So we know that this comes with the modules that we would like to hear, or that comes with the free version, or the ones we didn't download that is also free. So you can see here we have a sine wave, triangle wave, saw wave, and the square wave. So if we take a wire, we just click and drag. We can drag it up to our input 1, and I'm going to turn down the speaker because now it only comes in one of the speakers. So we have to attach both sides. So now we have sound on both sides. And we can control pitch, but we only have a steady sound because that's what an oscillator is doing. So we're going to take that off, and not because I have to do this, but it is easier with a mixer, so we can turn up volume up and down, because right now we don't have control over volume. So modular synthesis is kind of the end result of when you know how to work and a synthesizer. It's not the easiest way to start with, but it is fun though, because you have all the options that you want. So I'm gonna click, instead of VCO, I'm gonna click my mixer here, and I'm just gonna drag it down here and have the mixer that comes with it. Then we have send and returns with that. So now we can just say, okay, we want the square wave down here, and now we got sound in the mixer. Then we have to have sound into the sound card. And now we can have control over volume. Now I can just have it a little bit up and mute it. What could be cool the next to do is probably have control over volume. So that's a VCA voltage control amplifier. So we have a small one here. We can just put that up and we can just drag them around and they will just fit in the place. So they're not, we don't have to have them here. So instead of going from this, I will go to in here. So the sound goes into the VCA and into the mixer again. So now we can have that, but now we have control over volume on this one. And why would we have that? Is because we want an envelope to open up the sound when we press a button. So let's have a ADSR envelope. And right now we're just gonna take up the sound and we're taking the envelope to our CV input. So now you can see it's grayed out. So there's no sound, but if I push this button, you can see that's where the envelope would trigger from. And now you can see it up here. So when I trigger this button, we can take the attack down, some of the sustain, and a little bit of the release. A little bit more release. Too much. Something like that. Now we have that. But I don't want to trigger like that. We can then say, okay, I want something right now. I have a push down here I would like to trigger some stuff with. So behind here, I have to have the trigger. You can see it's not. Here we go, 2 seconds. And whoop. Now it's working. And we can see we get a ping down here for the MIDI input. So now we need a module that can read MIDI. So we will right click that and then we have MIDI to CV. So we go press a button, the MIDI will tell it this to do something. Let's have that before the audio interface. Then we have volt per octave, that's pitch. We could set that to volts per octave, and then the gate here should be the gate at the trigger. So now we could actually push on the push, but right now it's monophonic, so we can only play one note at a time, because that's pretty much how a modular synthesizer is set up, that we have to play a chord. Let's say we want to play a triad, then we have to set up 3 or 4 VCOs, 3 or 4 VCAs, 3 or 4 envelopes if we want different envelopes. So we have to have a lot going on if we want to play a chord. So let's just keep it at as simple as we will. And because we chose the square wave, we can then control the pulse width. But instead of me doing this, I would like an LFO. LFO. We got one here. Now we can have the wavetable. Right now we can have wavetables inside of this, but right now it's just a sine wave. So we will have that on the pulse wave modulation, and then we can say how much we will have of that. Now it sounds like that. Okay, take that. We could also just click here, here with shift, move these a bit to the side because we need one more thing. That's a VCF for a filter. So we'll take the filter in here and mark these and drag them over here. So now we have a filter. So instead of going from here, we're going to in from directly from the oscillator, and then for low pass filtering we're going into this. So now you can, oh, I changed the VCO, there we go, just to filter some resonance. But again, I would like to have my envelope controlling the cutoff of that, so it will kind of go up and down. So I would take the cutoff and stack that on the envelope, and then move this upward. Now we made that. And now I'm gonna build my effect chain down in the mixer and the return tracks, send and returns. So let's have reverb. Plateau is my ultimate favorite reverb. And we'll take in, and you see if I hold it, it will kind of black out the areas I can't put it in. So this one has to go here, here, and then we have the output goes underneath. So now we have this one, let's like that. And now we can open up the send. Now we have reverb on it. Right? We could also take right click and write delay. We can take this one and have that by the side and do the same thing with the next. These two and underneath for out. So in goes this and out goes this. So now, and then let's have this going. And we have to have dry wet full on this and dry wet full on the reverb. So because it's a send. Let's see, ping pong. And then we have to, whoop. Sometimes we have to be careful of not hitting the right one. We have, of course, to turn up the envelope, otherwise it won't do anything. The feedback is a little bit too long. Something like that. And again, if I don't want to play it, I could then say, okay, I would like a clock. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can see everything. And now we could say shift all the way up here with these and drag them so we have a nice square. And underneath here, I would like a clock. And let's just take this clock because right now it's not synced to Ableton. We could do that. Let's see, we have to zoom in this way. Why can I not? There we go. Let's see, clock here. Then this clock here would sync to Ableton. And we would like to do that. So we could do clock output to BPM, external clock input. So if I hit play on here, you can see it says 120 now. If I turn up this to 140, it should go to 140 down here. So now it's synced to Ableton's clock. But now this is a clock. We can divide stuff in and add stuff in. So we would like to have a sequencer of some sort. I like this one here. And then we would say, okay, we would have to go directly this way. We would have a clock that would, now you can see it will click just on these 4 rows. So divided by 4 to downwards is the next clock. So it will kind of shift down all the time. And it's only, if we take that to double tempo, this have to be half then. But now we could go up and say our, instead of having the gate that we play, now we can have a clocked gate. So now the gate would just go on, and then we have to set the volts per octave, have to go volts per octave out. So now it changed tone. And what we can do, because this is pretty cool, that it's to scale to a minor scale or set to a minor scale, we could just randomize the notes. So now it's randomized down here, and we have a little bit of too much of a reverb. So we'll turn them down up here. And we would like to go twice as fast. Something like that. So now we built something for this. So now we could call this sequencer, SEQ, sequencer. We could then move this upwards and start a new one. We can have this MIDI one to have down by the side. Have that here. We could duplicate the whole thing here. And why do we lose sound? Because I duplicated this one. We don't need the audio interface. We can have that down here. Because now we just need to take all of these here. So we have all of these that's empty now. So we could go from the VCO, should be shifted here. And I move it. Something like that. This one. So we can, oops. And it can suddenly get messy if we don't have order in it, because you can see we need a lot of machines to start building sounds. We could also have one more clock going in here. Then we just need to set the reset output to reset up here, run that one, and BPM. And when we hit run, let's see, yeah, now they're synced. And when I stop Ableton, it stops. So now we can use this one up here to trigger something that's a lot slower, maybe divided by 4. The clock should go up to our envelope, and then we have to put that in gate. Let's zoom into here so we can see what we're doing. So now the clock is going to get a signal in here, and we want this to be sustained because I want a sub now. So we're gonna take the sine wave, and then we'll put it into the filter, low pass it into input of the VCA, and the output we're gonna put down to number 2. And then we could have another sequencer that were put to this, but we could also just, let's use another VCO that's easier to handle, like this one, and then just have the sub or sine wave going to in. and we should have sound. It's not very loud. There we go. Let's take another and duplicate this. Up. And take the gate from the same one here and just have that running here, and then have the pitch to the volts per octave. Take that down a little bit. So now the sub is kind of going. We could also have like a pad going on. So let's take another one. We can write sub on down here. Sub. And duplicate this. So now we're going to take the third sound, and then we could do a saw into the filter, the low pass into one or to the VCA, and then out to this one, and get that. So we need a LFO. Sorry about the sound. We can take the mixer. Here we go. So the LFO, I would like something maybe like this. Then we could kind of draw something instead. So there's a lot of possibilities in here that we can do some fun stuff with. So we need a trigger. So let's trigger that from this one down here. And let's see, we'll just mute. Randomize up. That was annoying because it's so small. So we need to go over here. And then randomize. Maybe something like that. Oh, we need to run this. And then have the clock go faster. So let's have one that's VCA output, and go over to happening? Is it CV out? Yeah. So now you can see our envelope is going upwards and downwards here. We can try and do that. Take the filter down and maybe do number 2 and find something. Randomize. Something like that, and I take number 2 into our cutoff. Could try like that, if we want to see it. There's a lot of possibilities with stuff in here we can go out and in with. We can go here. Just that. So now it's going to be a little bit complicated when we're doing this, but we have the first sound up here, the bass down here, then the pad tone right over here that's being modulated by that. Everything is fired into the mixer. We have 2 clocks down here that's controlling the speed and all that. That's going into the sound card. And then we have 2 sequencers down here that does the tones and the gates. And because we have this MIDI to CV is the clock that Ableton is running. So after that, we could just put stuff into Ableton. So this is like, now we did this synthesizer. Could even take this clock down here and take that even 16. Have it so it's not that. So pretty cool stuff. I will put the link in, inside of the video description. And if you have any questions, feel free to write me or. Yeah, this was VCV Rack inside of Ableton. We can have a look if we're closing or taking the VCV Rack is whoops. And let's do this because otherwise my pretty face will go away. It's the same thing. You could do exactly the same. You just have to go to the audio core and then choose which sound card you want outputting, and then you go. And you can directly record it into it if you want to. But this was it for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you to the next one on next Wednesday.